In this video, I'm going to be breaking down everything you need to know about day trading, as far as how I day trade, what I day trade, what strategy I do, and like how do I get my daily trade bias, different strategies that are very effective. And this is valuable information that you want to, listen to the end of the video. You're going to gain so much knowledge. So I need you to, first off, subscribe to the channel, because we're bringing these type of videos consistently. If you want to actually improve, you actually want to be a serious, take this seriously, then you know what to do, my guys. At the end of this video, okay, we're going to give you guys, what to do in order to actually improve. Overall, we're going to be talking about the thesis. So thesis, when you're day trading, what you're doing is trying to identify, where price action is going next. Specifically, we trade Bitcoin because it's a volatile asset that is in some way, shape, or form has its predictable movements that does, Monday through Friday. It doesn't close in the weekends. It's still open in the weekends. So in the weekends, it does different patterns that we trade upon as well. This information that I'm about to be giving you guys is something that has taken me years to master, years to identify. Plenty of losing trades, plenty of liquidations, plenty of times frustration. So we're here to really just shorten your learning curve. Many people want to have this perfect strategy and to become profitable, and in our reality, what I offer you is a working strategy, but you have to really master your mindset and master your risk management. So for my new people, my name is Gabe. I want you to hit the subscribe button. We're going to be dropping these type of videos consistently. So in our reality, many people are not familiar with the way I trade. How do I get my trade bias? It's real easy. Okay, we understand, during the week, we have what's called the morning pumps. Inside my Discord here, you'll see what I'm talking about. This is my Discord, the G Trenches. It's really a boot camp, of like-minded people that want to improve the trading. And inside here, I explain, my guys, in the morning, we could see AM pumps. Okay, what happened? We saw our AM pumps. I can show you the chart. This is a chart that's accessible for everyone to look at. This is not, you don't have to pay monthly for this chart, not like TradingView. This is something that I use to trade Bitcoin specifically, and also other cryptocurrencies. Okay, so this is BitMEX. Okay, bitmex.com. You go here to trade derivative. Okay, I teach you how to set up the chart like this, and once you set it up, you're able to, trade Bitcoin. Okay, I do not use the exchanges, chart. Okay, whether it's this exchange or another exchange, I don't use this chart, my guys. I use, this chart to see my eyes. So this is the battlefield here. So how do I get my daily trade bias? I'm not here to sell you the dream of technical analysis, because I am not a fan of technical analysis. My bias solely depends on what day it is, what time it is, and overall how we practice determining direction. We practice determining direction using what I call scanning the trenches. Scanning the trenches. And for my guys in here, they understand how to determine direction, because I explain it very in-depth, very detailed but straight to the point video inside the Discord, explaining how to determine direction. That's what's really going to be determining if you are a winner or not a winner, my guys. So for example, if you enter a trade, you're shorting, but we have the afternoon pump coming because direction is shifting too long. What's going to happen? You're going to suffer. So in order for you to prevent that, is really identifying, what time it is, what direction is going to, and like what not to do, because you're never supposed to enter, the enemy's camp. That's one thing for a fact. You're never supposed to enter the enemy's camp. And if you understand that if you enter in the enemy's camp, you're gonna be suffering. You can be suffering for hours, days. You can suffer liquidations. The whole thing is, you got to look at this like an ocean. If you look at this like an ocean, you're gonna be winning, okay, a lot more than anything else. So look at it like an ocean, my guys. Aside from that, how I determine my daily trade bias back to back. People inside my Discord get the daily trade updates. It's overall my taste of the market, and I tell my people, do not trade on solely this. What I try to do is actually teach them my working strategy, so they could become proficient traders themselves. Okay, what's going to be happening? When you trade during the week, okay, there's different setups every single time. the whole thing is what we do. We get in the lower time frames and we enter appropriately. Okay, we enter appropriately, and this is what I really do consultations about. Entering and mastering your entries and your exits. So I'm not here to tell you pretty much all these confusing, words, terminologies, all this confusing, TA lingo that's really just gonna, keep you guys more inside of a loop of confusion. Because in all reality, cryptocurrencies, stock markets, whatever it is really manipulated stuff, my guys. So if you're gonna be confusing it even more with TAs, it's just gonna be very, hard for you guys, especially the new people. So how I teach my students is way different than majority of people, and that's why it works. So if you understand, we have something called the afternoon pumps. We call it the shuttle bus. Okay, the shuttle bus is around this time, my guys. We could see in like afternoon pumps, and I told my guys inside the daily trade updates, boom, that the AM pump is over. And the AM pump was from 81 to 83. It was over. It dipped down, and we get another pump after that. That's all it was possible if you have the right information. So you're able, to long when there's AM pumps, and you can profit massively. Like one of my students at Discord, he profited over 100% on just the AM pump. And this is stuff that anybody can learn this. So this is how I get my daily trade biases, my guys, is really, identifying how, what common patterns are happening, have that bias, but in the end of the day is, practicing what I call scanning the trenches. So when we look at this chart, how I see it's a battlefield, the red army versus green army. So we scan and identify, when the opposing army is getting weak. And how you're going to do that, is by putting in the hours of time and giving it your all, my guys. So what we do is give everything you guys need, inside the Discord for you to become proficient. Okay. In all reality, people are just going to be giving you guys like a lot of free information, and sometimes not necessarily that's the best information for that situation, my guys. So if you want to improve, in becoming a actually proficient, profitable trader, inside my Telegram in the bio, I explain, more in depth about the strategy. On top of that, we have a G Trenches Discord specifically for people who want to become proficient day traders. This is stuff you can apply to Bitcoin, to other cryptocurrencies, to the stock market. We trade all different types of, assets, and this is possible if you actually apply yourselves. So I'm not here to like sugarcoat it. We're here to give you guys real results. Today, my guys, we'll be trading consistently. I'm actually in these trenches with you guys. This earlier today, profiting for the pumps. We see the pumps come, we profit massively. We're here 1300, just profiting over a pump. Okay, we're not here, looking at Ichimoto clouds. We're not here, making it look all confusing. We see when the green army is coming, and we identify it, and we snipe a trade, and we enter and we exit, and lock in profits, and build our wallet. My guys. We build our wallet. Another thing we do, we use screenshots, because in our reality, how are you gonna be able to see the movements come, without any screenshots? So we have a screenshot tool that I give my people inside the Discord. Boom, you click the screenshot tool, you're able to identify, is the number going up or down, my guys, the number going up or down. That's also going to be very helpful for you when you're entering these lower time frames. Okay, so if you have never heard or seen a strategy like this of day trading, what I'm teaching is going to be giving you guys the ability to be steps ahead of majority of people. Like forget TA, forget what every other influencer is telling you how to trade. What everybody else is telling you how to trade is not proficient as this style of trading. This style of trading does not rely on any indicator, only relies on how to determine direction and perfecting your entries and exits. It's pretty simple. This is something you can apply with multiple currencies. So if you truly want to take it serious, I have more videos on my YouTube explaining how to do this strategy. But if you want to shorten your learning curve, then my DMs or emails open if you want to join the G Trenches and you want to become a proficient trader, so you trade like all these guys out here who are printing. We had Johnny, we have all these other guys that they come to me not knowing anything, and that's the best part. Because if you try to train an individual that's stuck in their ways, they're not going to be able to learn as fast as somebody that has that wants to become a student, wants to learn. So if you actually want to learn a strategy that's not going to be hard. It's something you can learn quickly. Okay, aside from that, once you learn it, you're gonna actually become profitable, if you have the right mentality with it. Everything I say is not financial advice, because what we try to do is keep it real with you guys. So if that sounds good to you, you know what to do. Drop your comments below, subscribe. DMs are open. We'll catch you in the next video.